Hello, good evening, viewers at home. My name is Adeotola Michael. This is another opportunity to meet at a revision table of immunology. Ever before, I'm going to give us the summary of what we have been dealing with in immunology so far. And this is quite intentional because this is just the only way to actually provide a kind of feedback to uh, the viewers of Omega Bio-Edutainment, especially the educational series. So today we are going to talk about revision of immunology, revision in immunology. So if you look at have on the screen, we have a lot of terms and terminologies. We have it is, however, each of these statements that we have on the board has one or two relevance to what we are going to be doing and what we have been doing so far. Don't forget that in this topic, in this course, immunology, immune system can actually be divided into two. The first one is innate immune system, and the second one is adaptive, or what is called specific immune system. Just like you know that innate immune system is the line of defense in which organism is actually born with. So, and that is why we have looked at least four key differences between characteristics of innate immune system. We said it is innate because it is what we are born with. It is non-specific. That is, it doesn't have any prior experience. So it is naive. It is quick to react. It has no memory. So that is that about innate immune system. Then the other part of the other part of the immune system is what is called the adaptive, or what we can also see as acquired in some textbook. We have seen, unlike the innate immune system, adaptive system or acquired immune system is more specific. It is slower to action. I mean to act. It is very slow to act, and it has a kind of a memory cells. Is a characteristic of a immune system. Then it has no prior infection, and basically we can actually divide acquired immune system three into three. We have the a kind of protection that is being offered as the cellular. So cellular, and that cellular consists of the T lymphocyte as well as interferon. And we are talking of T lymphocyte. We have three different categories. We have T helper cells with the antigen presenting cell, the CD, which is CD4, which is actually very present on MHC class 2. And we also have memory T cells, which is also involved in the kind of offering of protection. CD8 has, which is also known as a cytotoxic. It has its own, it is presenting its own cell on MHC class 2. It has its own interaction on MHC class 2. Then the third one, which is actually also being cellular in nature, is interferons. Interferons are known to be viral killers. They are very, very effective in intracellular protection of the host. So they are specialists in dealing with intracellular like viruses, like cancer cells, and so on and so forth. Then don't forget, the other aspect of it is plasma cell, that is B cell. B cell is the one that is responsible for production of or antibody production. So you need to know that, because and this antibody is produced from the spleen. you have to take note of that. B cell is, which is the plasma cell, is the one that is responsible for production of antibodies. Then it is produced from the spleen. This. Then you also need to know about complement system. Complement system is actually a set of cascade of cells that is actually responsible for opsonization. So they are responsible for killing as a result of making the enemy, that is the antigen, by coating them and destining them for destruction by the action that is called opsonization. Opsonization is actually a process whereby an antigen is coated in order to make it more palatable or more easy to be able to be swallowed by phagocytotic cell. Then you work with neutrophils. Neutrophils is the most abundant, and it is the first, very, because they are mobile, they are the first to get to the site of any infection. They are the first to get to the point of the infection. So you need. So then another thing is the dendritic cell. Dendritic cell is is one type of antigen presenting cells. Dendritic cell, which is actually concerned with killing of infected cells. Any cell that is already infected, the dendritic cells will just go and is going to eliminate it. That's why dendritic cell is actually responsible for killing of infected cells. Then again, you need to know that skin is the first line of barrier, that is of protection in innate immune system. You need to know the involvement of skin as the first line of defense in innate immune system. Okay, so then during the process of antibody production, I told you that another word for antibody production is, and for another word for antibody is immunoglobulin. And there are five different types of immunoglobulin. We have immunoglobulin A, which is present in the mucosa, and also in saliva. Then we have immunoglobulin G, IgG. That is the most abundant in the blood, the most abundant. And immunoglobulin M. Immunoglobulin M is the first one that is actually responsible for primary protection, whereas immunoglobulin E is the one that is actually needed in case of allergic reaction, especially, and is also very responsible sometimes for parasitic clearance. You need to know that. Also, we also mentioned in some of our earlier video, we also mentioned something about that is under innate immune system. We also mentioned something about eosinophils. This is the one that is responsible for clearing of parasites. So it's responsible for clearance of parasites. So, and you should also know macrophage. Macrophage as a professional phagocyte. That is, they are one type of innate immune system, and their function majorly and the way they act is basically as a professional phagocytic cells. So I actually told us whenever there is any infection, especially infection by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, you just discover that so this is what you will find. You discover that if there is a infection, okay, so what is going to happen is that Mycobacterium tuberculosis infection, that is TB, is an airborne infection. So because the infected droplets the infected droplet is ever present in the air, and once the bacilli, the MTB bacilli enters through the nose, it's going to get down into the trachea. Immediately it is getting into this place, the first, don't forget what I said, the first that will be notified. Here you have the presence of macrophages. You also have neutrophils also being present. So immediately what is going to happen is that neutrophils will be the first to actually get to the point of that mycobacterium infection. And by the time it has gotten to that, we just discovered that there will be, so this one will now migrate, the mycobacterium tuberculosis will migrate into the, going to migrate into the lungs. Okay, so inside the lungs you have alveoli. Okay, inside the lung you have alveoli. So inside the lung, that is where you have macrophages are readily present. So immediately there is a mycobacterium tuberculosis infection, the macrophages will be recruited to the site of that infection, and the macrophages will go and swallow and surround it, going to surround the mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the bacilli. So by the time it is being surrounded, so macrophages is going to immobilize it, and it's going to start recruiting others. In that point in time, we have a recruitment of TNF alpha, interferon gamma, and some other interleukins. They will be recruited to come and immobilize the bacteria, which is the MTB. So this one will continue. The fate of this mycobacterium tuberculosis, they have three fates. The first one is that they will continue to be there. And that one will form latent TB. That is, they will continue to coexist with the host cell inside the lungs. So by the time that one is done, what happens is that one will form latent TB, okay, and that one will continue as long as the immunological level of the host is competent to deal with that. But once there is any situation, it could be as a result of nutritional factor or some other factors that will lead to what is called immunodeficient condition, like when you have HIV. That's why people that have HIV, they are more prone to having mycobacterium tuberculosis infection as well, because of their immunological state. So anytime the immune system of the host is now down, so the latent TB will now resuscitate or get reactivated. That one will now lead to what is called an active TB, that you start seeing symptoms and some other things. But at latent TB, there won't be, the host will not display any form of symptoms. It's not going to display that. So the TB will continue to coexist with that. Then sometimes this one could be overpowered. Immediately it could be overpowered, and it's going to lead to active TB. So that one will not actually need to undergo any latent TB. And the study has told us that 90%, okay, 90% of us have latent TB. That is, we have microbacterium TB in our blood. The only thing is just because our immune system is still very, very strong. That is why we are not able to go down, and the TB is not getting to state of activeness. So, but out of this, the remaining 10%, out of the remaining 10%, 55% of the 10 has the probability of developing active TB immediately. That is immediately there is this kind of infection, the TB will just overwhelm the immunological state of the host, and thereby 5% will develop TB immediately. So then the last 5% are those ones that the immune system, the macrophages will be able to deal with it, and the immune system is going to clear or eliminate the TB from the blood, I mean from the lungs, and what you see is that the person will not go down with TB. So at every point in time, the type of immunological response will now depend on the type of the invading pathogens. Don't forget that if there is a parasitic infection, eosinophils will be recruited. And don't forget that neutrophils are the first. Whatever happens, neutrophils will be the first to get to the point of infection. It is the one that is the most mobile. Sometimes they are going to, what they will do is just to immobilize the invading pathogens. Right? Don't forget that I said dendritic cells, this one are the mediators between adaptive immune system and innate immune system. So that means that sometimes whenever there is any infection, so the innate immune system will first of all will come into play because it is quick to act. So the cell will be recruited, and once it is recruited, it's going to also recruit other immunological mechanisms to be able to clear the invading microorganism. And because of the mediatory action, is just going to interact with the cellular immune system, and at the end of the day, they will trigger killing of the infected cell. Don't forget that today I said it's just going to be a kind of review of what we have done so far. And at a point in time, I told us about vaccine production. That is, for us to produce vaccine, you need to actually understand. You need to understand what is the immune system of the host. If you do not understand how the immune system works, at the end of the day, you might not be able to have a good vaccine that you are going to produce, because a good vaccine should be able to trigger antibody, that is, should be able to trigger adaptive immune system, should be able to do that. And any protection that vaccine offers is what is called passive immunity. Why it is passive is just because it's not going to offer immediately the total kind of immunity, but what it's going to do is that it's going to train our immune system so as that in case there is this kind of infection, that is what they will do. So protection that is being offered by vaccine is what is called innate immune system. And don't forget that I told us that the meaning of immunity actually is the process whereby the host will put up a very strong defense of the system, whereas pathogen, the eventual goal of the pathogen is to be able to break through the immunological machinery of the host. So these are part of what we have said so far in the other videos. So I want to believe that you should be able to take note of all this, so that every time you are giving feedback tutorial, because tutorial will be set on all this, and I want to believe that you will be able to have a very good understanding, at least the summary of what we have taught you so far. So don't forget to make comments in the comments